Hi, everyone. So excited to be here with Dennis today to talk about scheduling display and digital signages. A little bit of a backstory for you guys. The idea of digital signage actually sparked from a conversation that Dennis had between Oded, our head of product, and Nick, our head of services. Dennis was talking about some of his business challenges and some really cool, innovative ideas on how we can use Zoom rooms more completely around his workplace. And many conversations later, earlier this year, we released Zoom Rooms digital signage. So to be honest, we actually have Dennis to thank for this feature. Super excited. Thanks again, Dennis. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia and Frank. It's a pleasure to be here today and be here to talk to you about features that we suggested to Zoom, and Zoom actually delivered for all of us. So I'm excited to be up here today. As Frank mentioned, we've been a customer of Zoom for 5 years. I guess we were an early adopter. Back then, it was just a simple video conferencing platform, just a pure video conferencing client. And over the last 5 years, we've watched Zoom evolve into the world-class communications platform that it is today. So thank you, Zoom, and thank you for listening. Just to give you a little background on Bayada Home Healthcare, we're a home healthcare organization headquartered in southern New Jersey. We provide in-home healthcare to over 30,000 clients a week from 335 offices around the world. This past year, we had a great opportunity where we actually shot a testimonial video with Zoom, and I think it's great to show you guys to give you an idea of the relationship with Zoom and Bayada. So we're going to play that for you next. No audio.
Next slide.
My name is Mark Bayada, and I'm the founder and chairman of Bayada Home Healthcare. Our clients are homebound, and because they're homebound, sometimes they're socially isolated, both from their family and friends and from the healthcare system. Zoom is great because it's HIPAA compliant. We currently will go into their home to visit them, or we'll call them to support them and give them a better quality of life and help with their health need. I think this is going to be a big explosive market, home-based care using video.
When I arrived, the first question I heard was, what are we doing with all of these cameras that are all over the company? They were collecting dust, and we experimented with several technologies, and then we stumbled upon Zoom. And the minute we started playing with it, we were like, wow, this is night and day compared to the technology that we've employed.
Affordable, innovative solutions are very important to us here at Bayada because there's not a lot of margin to work with in home health care. Everything we do here is really to provide better care for our clients.
The quality was so high, it was so reliable, it was so easy to use, it just jumped us to a higher level that the adoption went really fast.
And from that point on, we were completely hooked, and we knew that we had a solution that we were going to stick with for a while.
We're very tight-knit, and Zoom has allowed us to really enhance that. Currently, we have over 3,000 office employees using Zoom, and we're in the process of rolling it out to our over 20,000 field employees. We have a studio here that we use for webinars, webcasts, and live productions. We even use it for a virtual physical fitness class that we offer up to assisted living facilities.
Seeing the person is everything. I mean, it's second only to in person. It's brought our company closer together. It's brought us closer to our clients. It's allowed us to get into the home with greater frequency and collaborate between the clinical managers and our caregivers.
Trusted relationships. That's what we're into, trusted long-term relationships with people. It's forming a human connection which everybody hopes for, but often they don't get. Zoom takes it to a whole new level, because certain things that couldn't be done on the phone can now be done through video and kind of minimize the need to go to a hospital. So we think it's going to revolutionize healthcare delivery. It's kind of amazing.
And that's Bayada. So before we start on digital signage, I'm just curious, just to get a poll, how many people are using digital signage in some form in your organization? Doesn't it have to be with Zoom? Quite a bit of you. Okay. How about the hands for the folks that are using Zoom for digital signage today? Okay. So not as many, and that's to be expected. That's why you're here, right? Learn more about Zoom digital signage. So as our founder, Mark Bayada, spoke about trusted long-term relationships, that's really at the heart of what we do at Bayada. That's really what makes us successful. It's those interpersonal relationships that we connect with our people through our offices, connecting with our clients. And as we continue to grow, It's very important that we nurture that, we find the right technology, we keep people connected because we're adding offices, we're adding people, we're getting larger all the time. And communications is very important to us as an organization. So we've used digital signage probably for the last 10 years, but we really didn't get serious about it until last couple years. And that's because we opened a brand new global support center where we actually took 13 offices and moved them into one corporate campus. And that's when we started to think about what we wanted to do technology-wise, and that's where the conversations came out about digital signage, using the room scheduling real estate for digital signage, putting signage around our campus. And then we wanted to be able to use room schedulers, which we'll get to later on. But the new campus, just to give you a little bit of background on the campus itself, is around 127,000 square feet, 6 floors, and around 74 conference rooms throughout the campus. And that's all different types of conference rooms. That's huddle spaces, small conference rooms, medium conference rooms, large conference rooms, just about every type of space that you can have. So when it came to the new campus, there were some things that we really focused on because we wanted to make the digital workplace of the future at our new campus. And the conference rooms were our first focus. We wanted to be able to provide audio conferencing, screen sharing, video conferencing, room scheduling, meeting recording, right? So it was an easy solution for video conferencing because we were already using Zoom rooms at our other offices, and we knew it was a viable solution. We knew that our employees were happy with it, so the video conference piece was a no-brainer. But when it came to audio conferencing, we were using multiple phones. We were using a Cisco Polycom phone, and we were using Zoom. So we had 2 separate speakerphones in the room. So for the new campus, we simplified things. We asked everybody just to use Zoom for audio conferencing. Same thing with screen sharing. We had other technologies that we were using in other offices. For the new campus, we decided, let's ask everybody to use Zoom and wirelessly screen share. No longer did we need cables in those conference rooms. Really simplified things. Room scheduling came along. Wasn't a need we really thought we'd need it until we moved into the campus and realized that conference room space was at a minimum and we needed to do something. And then meeting recording is actually a nice feature that we didn't think too much about. But what we find now when we look at our room metrics is people go into these rooms, they're not connecting remotely, they're using room meeting recording, and they're recording their meetings to watch later. So it's really been a useful tool for us. The new corporate campus, we also have a large training center. It's 3 rooms with foldable doors, ceiling mount microphones and speakers, multiple cameras, and we use it for all sorts of events. We open up one big room, we close it in different rooms, but it's all integrated into Zoom, so we use it for a lot of webinars, webcasts, live streams, that sort of thing. And then we have a production studio, which we actually showcased a little bit in the video you saw there. Prior to having a studio or permanent space for it, we were actually setting up mock studios and conference rooms all around the company, and it would take so much time to set up the rooms and tear them down. And now having a dedicated space where we've locked in lighting, locked in cameras, it really makes it so much easier when we have to do a webinar or webcast. And it's really been a core component to our communications company-wide. And then, of course, digital signage. We wanted to install digital signage throughout our campus. We wanted to put it, and we'll show you, we'll give you some different examples of where we put it throughout our campus, but that was a real technology need to really create that digital workplace of the future that we were hoping for with our new campus. And all these things I just listed, we're using Zoom for all of them. So just to give you a little bit of background with the digital signage, we started out many years ago just using PCs, and many of you have probably done this before. You take a PC and you connect it to a monitor and you loop a PowerPoint. And it was a decent solution, inexpensive way to go about it, but not really a great way to roll out a solution that you want to scale with, right? So we had a lot of challenges there. We were locked into just PowerPoints, couldn't really do too much dynamic content. Then we moved up to ViewSonic digital media adapters. These are little media adapters that you put behind the TVs, you connect them over to the network, and you can upload PowerPoints across the network. So saved us some administration work, but still we were limited with those devices. And then we moved up to Samsung Magic Info, which is a real robust digital signage solution, great solution. But it was challenging for us because we really couldn't scale with it because of the costs of the hardware and the licensing that we needed to go with it. So that's why we looked to Zoom to help us out with that, because we really wanted to tie in those conference room monitors that we already owned with our signage solution. So why did Zoom make sense for us over those other solutions? Number one, centrally managed, cloud-based management. We already have a team that's managing all of our Zoom rooms. They were easily able to take on our signage. It's flexible and simple for content publishers. Everybody has access to it to publish content. Those people we designate required less staff to administer. And once again, it's actually an added feature with Zoom rooms, so there's no additional cost for it. So when we talk about the two options that Zoom offers for signage, there's Zoom Rooms digital signage, right? That's just adding signage to your Zoom rooms that you already own. And then there's standalone digital signage. So if you already have a license for Zoom rooms, they give you the license to put additional signage around your campus, so there's no additional cost for that. So they really cover both areas. So you don't need to have different products to manage those solutions. You have one product to manage all your signage needs. As far as content types, what you can upload currently, and I know Zoom is working behind the scenes to bring some more things here. We had a couple of feature requests in on content types, but right now you can put static images, JPEGs. You can point to URLs, and we're going to show you some really neat examples of that. And then we play a lot of video content at our campus with subtitles. So you can play video content, you can have it on and off. So to give you some different examples of how we're using signage, we're using it for welcome signage in our lobbies. So you walk into our building, and we do a lot of employee recognition. We're big on employee recognition. We have an awards weekend every year where we give out awards, and we want to make sure that we're honoring our employees for the jobs that they're doing, and this really ties into that. You'll walk into our lobbies, and you'll see birthdays, anniversaries, years of service. A lot of that stuff is up on the monitors. Anybody have a birthday here? Anybody's birthday coming up? Well, we would have you up on the monitor. You would be on the monitor, and we would be celebrating your birthday if you worked for us. So. Another unique area that we're using signage in is gateways between offices and different departments. It's a great way to have an entranceway into a department to understand what that department's all about. To give you an example, that picture in the upper right-hand corner there, that's our learning center. And on the monitor right there, we have a video playing, welcoming people into the learning center. That content is specific to that department. And then we have gateways between departments. So on the bottom left corner of the screen, that's our communications team, and their content's a little bit different. We have a publisher that sits on the communications team, and they'll put different content that's more related to their department. Cafeterias, employee lounges, another great place to put signage in. We use it for company news and information. Again, we do employee recognition. You can put menus up, special events, all kinds of different ways to utilize that type of space. What's really great about digital signage is it's passive yet effective communication, right? So people are seeing the signage throughout the day, and it's resonating with them. They're actually getting the message, and it's a great way to deliver it. Conference rooms. We do something a little bit unique in our conference rooms. Everything I just mentioned, all the different types of content, we'll put on the screens there. But in the conference rooms, we're doing meeting etiquette. So for instance, in our conference rooms, we've been having challenges with people taking the iPads and not putting them back on the controller. So we have a little message that comes up, and it asks people to put the iPads back when they're done their meeting, or frame the camera properly. Sometimes you get in these meetings and people will have the camera off center and it doesn't have everybody in the picture. We remind them through the signage how to do that. And then Zoom tips and tricks, new features that come out in Zoom. Now there's a feature, I don't know if you're aware of, but you could take your meeting into the Zoom room and then you can take it with you. That's a new feature that we've been publicizing on our signage. So it's just a great way to get our message out. And since we're administering it, we have that opportunity to get those things out to our users. Cynthia?
And to expand on the use cases that Dennis has talked about, he mentioned you can show your company news and information. This is actually an example of some signage that we showed at our Zoom headquarters. A month before Zoomtopia, we had the countdown to Zoomtopia, so making sure that it's always on our mind. We're always, keeping us on our toes. So as the day approaches, our excitement increases and our stress level also increases. And we can also use it for other kinds of company information. For example, when we had a new HR tool coming out, we had signage that explaining what the new tool is, how to use it. So it's a great way, again, that passive way to provide everyone that information, make sure it's on top of their mind. We use it for anniversaries, birthdays, and celebrations. This is, again, a live example that we had just a few weeks ago at Zoom. When you have your Zoomversary, so if your first, second, third year anniversary at Zoom is coming up, we'll have signage with your name on it. So it's a great way to celebrate. I actually just had my Zoom anniversary recently, so you can see on this slide it actually has my name. And it's a great way to personalize your digital signage. When you see your colleague's name or your name on here, it feels so much more personal, and everyone just feels more connected to each other. We use it for recognition as well. Dennis mentioned this. At Zoom, we have a Zoomie Award. So every quarter, we vote on a colleague that is really going above and beyond. And if you win that award, then you will also get recognized on our digital signage all around the campus. And we mentioned one of the content types is showing a URL, and you can show Twitter feeds for that. This is a live example that we showed at Enterprise Connect earlier this year. You can see that it has new Twitter feeds that's coming in. It's changing. It's very dynamic. It makes it very engaging for the people that are at the event. A lot of teams will also use dashboards and performance metrics in their areas. And for example, our support team, you might have your call queues or other recent support-related issues. If you have your sales team, it might be your sales leaderboard or your latest sales mantra or other sales-related information. So not only can you show the dashboard and performance metrics, so it's always on top of everyone's mind, you can also customize it to each area so that's relevant for the people in that area. And you can use it to welcome visitors. So this is actually a pleasant surprise that I got when I went to visit the Denver office. I was there to meet with their sales team, and when I walked into the office, I saw a photo of me, and I saw that they were welcoming me to visit their campus, and it just made me feel so special and so welcomed. It's another way to really make that personal kind of touch on your signage. I see a lot of companies will use digital signage when their customers are visiting. So you can show your customer's logo, their name. And so when they come to your office, they walk in, they're like, wow, you're really, really welcoming me. I feel really special. Another way to make that really personal. You can use it to welcome new employees as well. An example is when our CIO, Harry, joined Zoom. We had signage all around our campus about how excited we are to have him on board. So again, a way to make people feel really special and personal and more connected.
All right, well, thank you, Cynthia. I love that Everwall. Write that down. That's a great tip. I'm going to take that back with me, that dynamic content that you can point to, and I think there's some real good use cases for that, so write that one down. So to give you an idea, we talked about the studio earlier and how we use the studio, and we do a lot of company-wide webinars and webcasts and live streams, and we're constantly looking at new ways to use our studio and broadcast out to our users. And one of the things we're looking to do is broadcast, once we get more digital signage out into our offices, we want to broadcast live streams out to those digital signage displays and really take advantage of the signage in conjunction with our studio. So we're pretty excited about doing that. Another different use case that we're actually working on, we're actually piloting this technology right now, is we're taking the Zoom rooms out of the Zoom room, right? We're putting it right in the open office space, and we have a digital signage monitor up on the wall, and we're using that monitor to connect with all of our offices around the world, and we're putting company news and information, announcements, anniversaries, and birthdays that are local to that office metrics, analytics, things that pertain to that office, like Cynthia mentioned earlier, put some useful information. That information could change daily. There could be messages we want to show Mondays, and then different messages we show Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and each day it changes. But we want to keep our users engaged and have them looking up at the screen. Another way you can use that signage in the open office, our director in this office takes her laptop, and she has huddles right in the middle of the office, and she shares wirelessly to the screen. So she's utilizing the Zoom technology right in the middle of the office. We talked about webcasts, being able to live stream right to that monitor. And then, of course, video conferencing. We've had a couple instances in this office where we actually had Mark, our CEO and founder, actually connect it right into the office, and was able to speak to the staff and congratulate them on performance and things that they were doing. So just another way we're trying to utilize the technology and really leverage Zoom.
Yeah, I really love that idea of video conferencing and signage in the open office. When we were just starting to talk about this presentation with Dennis, he mentioned this, and I thought, wow, what a cool and innovative way to really add collaboration and utility to your office. So love it, especially now a lot of companies are moving towards the open office. So keep that in mind. So a lot of times people will ask me, what hardware do I need for digital signage? So if you have already deployed Zoom rooms, then whatever hardware that you've used for your Zoom rooms, that already supports digital signage. So if you're adding digital signage to your Zoom rooms, then you're good to go. Nothing additional needed there. If you're deploying the digital signage only, the standalone digital signage, the ones you put in your lobby or in your hallway, then we support this little Azul mini PC stick. It's a little device that you plug into your display that you're going to use, and it can easily run signage. So it's super simple to set up, very affordable as well. And if you prefer, we also support lower specs PCs and Mac minis. And if you use one of the lower spec, either the Azul Mini PC stick or a lower spec Mac Mini or Windows PC, then that will support a single screen. If you use one of the more powerful computers, then that will support as many screens as that computer is spec'd for. Yeah.
Great.
So that's the hardware.
All right. Isn't that amazing, that little PC stick now? It's a full-fledged PC on a little stick that you plug in the HDMI port. We're actually starting to use those for our digital signage monitors. So just to give you an idea as far as our best practices, things we've learned really over the last 6 months just deploying this solution, work with your communications and digital media teams. They're going to absolutely love this technology, and to know that it's available and that they can utilize it. They're the ones that you want providing the content. You want them involved in making sure that the content's updated and it's the right thing showing on the right monitor. And they'll work with you to develop the brand and content publishing standards that you'll need for your organization. Be cognizant of monitor placement and the content displayed. For instance, we don't want to publish office metrics and analytics in the lobby areas, right? There's certain content for certain areas, so you just want to make sure that you've got your system set up and everything's well defined. Think outside the box. Signage can be used in many different locations around your company. It's very inexpensive with this solution to deploy a digital signage monitor. Think about a TV today is really a much lower cost than what they have been in prior years. And that Zoom stick that Cynthia showed you, I think they sell for maybe $100, $150. And if you already have Zoom rooms, the license is included. So there's no additional cost to run it. So you can really put signage in many different locations now at not much of an added cost. So as far as our results, what we found with digital signage, employees are now more informed throughout the organization. Well, really just our campus, but in other offices that have signage, we find that they're getting the message. The message is getting through important news, information, things that they need to know, and we're using signage for, they're getting it. Leveraging assets you already own, so you already have Zoom rooms, you're just going to use the monitors for signage. Centralized cloud-based administration really makes it much easier when you have to roll it out across an enterprise, multiple locations. And once again, low-cost option for signage. It's included with your Zoom room.
You are going on tonight?
Yes, I'm going to the castle. Yes, I'm scheduled to meet Count Dracula.
Dracula?
Dracula! Dracula!
Scheduled?
All right, so now we're going to talk about room scheduling. All right, so Zoom signage and scheduling really came up at the same time for us when we were looking at our new corporate campus. That's why I shared that information with you. These are technologies that we wanted to really include in the campus to make it that true digital workspace. And Zoom delivered. We now have scheduling. And just to give you an idea as far as our business challenge, why we wanted it, and it's probably very similar to your reasons, limited conference room space. We have 660 people on campus, and we have 74 conference rooms, and they're all different sizes. So we wanted to optimize our conference space. There was no easy way to find an available space. We had some people using Exchange to book, and some people were just squatting in rooms. Meetings would run over. And then user frustration, and we had a loss of productivity around meeting spaces. So we knew we needed a good solution. Before I realized that Zoom really did run with scheduling, we were looking into other options. And we looked at Robin, we looked at Team, and we looked at Joan. And let me tell you, they're all great solutions. And we were getting ready to choose a solution when Zoom let me know that they were ready to beta test scheduling. So we were elated because we didn't have to buy any of these options. So what we decided was, well, it's kind of new. There's probably going to be some bugs. Let's roll it out on one floor and see how well it works with Zoom before we make the decision. And that's a solution for our entire campus. So we put it on a floor, and let me tell you, within 2 weeks, people were demanding it on every floor in the campus. So we rolled it out to the entire campus, and people were extremely happy with the scheduling. So as far as using scheduling displays, if you're not familiar with it, it's to set room availability at a glance, so you can walk up to a room and you can see it. It syncs with the Exchange calendar, I believe Office 365.
Google as well.
Google. And it will show you the room availability right on the screen. We use iPads mounted right outside the rooms. You can reserve the room from the panel, so if it's available, it's green. If it's booked, it's red. It tells you who's in the room. It tells you what the name of the meeting is, if that was entered. And you can book your meeting right from the panel. You can select your time frame. You can type in your information. You can even check into the room. So for instance, if I'm in the room and I'm having a meeting and somebody has a meeting after me, they can walk up to the panel, they can check in, and I'm inside the room. And since it's all Zoom, it integrates with the room. I see on the screen so-and-so has just checked into the room. So I know I got to end my meeting on time because there's another meeting coming right after my meeting. Another thing that's really nice about the Zoom scheduling solution is we have a number of rooms that don't have any technology. They're not running anything Zoom, but we wanted to put schedulers on them. So now we just have one solution like digital signage where we can do non-technology rooms and we can do technology rooms and have scheduling all within that Zoom ecosystem. So it really worked out well for us. So as far as best practices, what we found, educate your users on how to book rooms and use the scheduler. For us, what we did is as we brought new offices on the campus, we actually had a training class where we showed them how to use the room technology and how to schedule and book rooms. That was part of our training process for all new users. Find a good quality mount. We actually went through a couple different mounts. Some of them were kind of flimsy. Where they were mounted were on the door frames, and we have big, large glass windows in front of our rooms. So we actually had to try a couple different mounts until we found the right one. We used, just so you know, it's called Mag Target Chronos mount. Schedulers need to be installed at a minimum height of 48 inches to be ADA compliant. This is something we learned through the process, so save yourself some time and not hanging them too high. If it's new construction, we found pre-wire your door frames with Ethernet. Because what happens, like with our rooms, we have those big glass panels in front of the rooms. All the cabling has to be run through the door jamb. So if you have to have a vendor come back in later and rerun those cabling, it's going to get pretty expensive. So what we did is we pre-ran all the cabling. So all that PoE connection is in through the door frame, and if we have to add a scheduler, we just pop through the door frame and pull the cable out. So as far as results with room scheduling, all room-enabled conference rooms now have schedulers. Meetings are more punctual. We're seeing that. Meeting holders are held more accountable now because they know that meetings are scheduled in the rooms and they have to end their meetings timely. And it's increased productivity around finding meeting spaces throughout our campus. So when we compare overall benefits of the two topics we discussed today, signage and scheduling, less applications, right? We're using Zoom for all of that. No additional cost. It's included in the Zoom room license. Total conference room integration. Now imagine your scheduling app is with Zoom. Your room video conferencing is with Zoom. Your digital signage is with Zoom. Now they're starting to take those technologies and use AI and different technologies to integrate and work things. Imagine that camera that's in the room now. It can be used as an occupancy sensor. It could tell you if the room was occupied. You can pull reports. Well, hopefully, you'll eventually be able to pull reports knowing how many people were in the room, how often the room was used, what were the peak times. Like, the possibilities are endless. And believe me, we're going to have a lot of feature requests for you there.
Yeah.
But it's really great to be able to take all those technologies and have one ecosystem, Zoom, to be able to use them and roll it out. All right.
Outstanding. How about some Zoomtopia love for Dennis and for Cynthia? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, I have my official Zoomtopia Q&A running shoes on. So I see some hands coming up already. So I'm going to come around to you, if you would. If you're pretty far deep into the aisle, I'll meet you. Otherwise, I'm going to come right to you, and we'll go here first.
Hi. You mentioned that the digital signage can support multiple monitors. Is it from like an extended desktop view, or can the Zoom interface control each monitors individually?
So right now, if you have the digital signage running, if you have multiple monitors, it is showing the same content on each monitor. Yeah. And actually, I forgot to mention, if you have the lower spec PCs, it supports a single screen, right? But we do have some customers that will use kind of screen mirroring devices, so you can have just set up one computer, and if this whole area is going to be used, is always going to be showing the same content, then you can use screen mirroring. You don't even have to set up that many computers.
Hi, where in Zoom do you manage the digital signage? In the Zoom room? How do you decide what goes to what sign and where? Where in the application do you do that?
Sorry, the question is where to set up the content?
Yeah, the container.
Yeah, where do you set up all your digital signage content, how it's presented, and all of that?
Yeah, so as Dennis mentioned, it's all part of your Zoom admin portal. So it's part of Zoom Rooms. When you go to configure your Zoom Rooms, it's a section within Zoom Rooms. And regardless if it's digital signage that you create as part of a Zoom Room or a digital signage only device, you can manage that all there. And you can even do it at the location level. So if you have a city or a building or a floor or a section that you want to play the same digital signage, then you can set that just at the location level, and it'll just push to everything under there.
Yeah, as you roll them out, you're going to want to create a process and a workflow, because it's going to get more complicated the more signage you add. And you want to make sure the right signage is displayed in the right places.
Yeah. We're back here.
Hey, question for Dennis. You had some great-looking conference rooms there. I'm interested about how you did this echo is distracting. Interesting how you did the pilot with your users and what the culture might be. Zoom Room's great. It's fantastic for self-service. Do you have any rooms in your office building that are more high-touch, that require things like catering, or maybe the receptionist in the old way of doing things used to like juggle rooms around for people and anything else? How with the runaway success you had, did you end up with any roadblocks on like getting those older way of doing things, like, oh, I have to go talk to somebody and shuffle things around?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually what we're trying to avoid. I've been working with video conferencing for about 12 years, and we come from the old Cisco Polycom Tamberg days, where we had room systems, and it always required an admin to set the meeting up. And with the new campus, we were trying to make sure it was more user-friendly and consistent. That was what Zoom really filled the need for us, because from room to room, it's consistent. People walk in, and they know how to use the technology because it works the same way in every room.
Sorry, just to clarify, I wasn't asking specifically about the video conferencing. It's the room scheduling is actually, it's like, oh, I don't need this room, I want to have my meeting over there, or can you switch me, or so-and-so's running long, or my EVP needs this room today, you have to go kick people out. Is that's so the kind of use case?
You're talking about the politics behind scheduling and when people need certain rooms. Yeah, we have some of that at Bayada, but for the most part, our users are pretty good about booking spaces and making sure that if they're booking a room, they're using the room, because we have limited resources.
Hello. Yes. Have you run into issue with the font size on the room scheduling? Any complaints about that and manipulating that size?
That's a great question. We have a feature request in for the font size.
We are aware of that feature request. Got it.
All right. Give me I'm heading back. Holy cow. Look at all these questions. Love it. I'm going to get some steps. I should have worn my Fitbit. There you go.
Hi. So just yesterday, I was speaking with one of our marketing content managers and talking about Zoom digital signage. Wow, that echo is weird. Are there, well, first of all, are there user guides about content managers? Because that's really important. I mean, otherwise, I'm going to have to write a user guide, and I'll do it, but I'm not so into it. Yeah, and just some general information for content providers that that I can introduce them to the idea of Zoom digital signage.
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and as we continue to roll these things out, all of our different companies, right? Why recreate the wheel, right? If Zoom can create that information for us, a user guide for content managers that we can hand off, it would make our jobs easier. So I think that's what you were getting at, is instead of you having to recreate it, is it something that Zoom provides? We've done it ourselves internally, but it would be nice if Zoom could do that for us. That's great to know.
Yeah, we do have support articles that explain how to manage your digital signage content. That's available on our support website, but we can definitely review that, follow up to see what else we can do to make it, maybe a little more user-friendly for the actual content managers. Great point.
Yeah, one thing I can tell you is Zoom is getting much better with their documentation. When we went through our whole room assessment, what cameras, what speakerphones, we were bringing stuff in and trialing everything out to understand if it was a right fit or not. Now, from what I understand, I think Nick Chung put together a whole website on different size rooms and what the recommended equipment is in each room, and it's really a great tool. So if you get a chance, check it out.
Hey, Dennis. I'd love to know how you delegate the responsibilities when it comes to signage amongst your teams, and in global settings where what signage may not be relevant to London, or maybe different floors, different divisions. How do you go about delegating who owns that content, and how do you scale this?
Sure. So at each location, if it's not on our campus, we have what we call key operators, and they're responsible, like for one of our service offices, they'll make sure that the birthdays are up there, anniversaries, things that are pertinent and local to that office. We'll give them a template, and they'll populate that information and make sure it's refreshed. As far as our global, the green stuff that we're pushing out globally across all offices, that's our communications team, and they're responsible for the branding and making sure the right messages are out in the right places. And we've really tried to partner with them so they've taken ownership of that. My team doesn't want to be responsible for the content, so we work with the communications team to take ownership on that.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Is there a specific role to control digital signage on specific rooms?
There is, yeah. There is a role that's digital signage content admin, and that's separate from the Zoom Rooms admin. So you don't necessarily, I'm sure you're thinking you don't want your content managers to be messing with your Zoom Room setting. It is a different role that's available.
My question's related to the scheduler, and our employees use it right at the outside of the room, and they're booking a meeting, and they're putting in just a new meeting, or they're not putting any content about what's going to be going on in that room, and then an admin needs to come through and bump them out of that room and move them to another room. Any thoughts on allowing from the iPad to list users? Since it's integrated with Exchange, we'd like to be able to, list the users that are going to be in the room, but book it from the iPad.
You mean if people walking up to the room and booking it, you want to see who booked it?
We'd like some type of option to list who's going to attend that meeting on the meeting invite, but again, we want just the content that they put on the room to be visible. We don't necessarily want the full detail about the meeting that's going to take place listed on the iPad. We'd like to be able to correlate that meeting to users so that if the room needs to be rebooked for someone else, we have that capability.
Okay. This is for, maybe I can follow up with you after, trying to understand if it's scheduled meetings or whatnot. We can go into the details. I'll be around.
All right, let me come back here. Here we go.
Hello. The content administrator role, can that be configured to only apply to a single Zoom room and not all Zoom rooms associated with the account?
It's by location, so you can configure it by location.
Okay, I'm going to flip to this quadrant here.
Hi, another digital signage question. So for my company, we wanted to know if through digital signage, can we internally, dish out what we want to dish out for certain conference rooms, certain offices, certain locations, and then have a timing on it where, say, we want to push something out for a week. After that week is over, goes back to something that's static. Then the next week comes, or immediately after something is pushed, at this time, 12 o'clock, midnight, Saturday, it's going to switch over to this, and it'll push out. But something that we can handle internally, because it seems like you go through a third party or somebody else.
We actually just released 2 weeks ago the ability to do exactly what you're saying, be able to schedule content and have that change. So check it out and give us your feedback.
Hi, so my question is more from a scheduling standpoint. I'm not sure if this is even going to be applicable. Do you even see scheduling working for stuff that's not Zoom rooms, or if it's just like we have standard Cisco rooms, but we still would want to use Zoom as a scheduling service?
Sorry, can you, I didn't get.
I think what he's saying is that he has Cisco rooms in his organization, but he'd like to be able to take a Zoom room scheduler outside the Cisco room.
Absolutely. Absolutely, you can do that.
You have a Zoom room?
Right, no, we have Cisco rooms. So the follow-up to that being, if we wanted to book multiple rooms across multiple locations, can we only just book the room that we're standing in front of? Or could I be standing in a room in New York and then also grab a room for my counterparts in London and San Francisco?
Currently, it's the room right in front of you.
Okay.
And unless you're using a scheduling tool like Exchange.
Yeah, if you're using Exchange, Office 365, then you can book any room you want.
But from the panel, you're limited right now to that room.
Exactly.
Hey, we're about to move into a new campus, 4 times as many rooms. No one knows where to find them. One of our biggest challenges is where are the rooms and are they available right now? I'm not running up to 2nd floor, 3rd floor, east wing, west wing. Any plans that we could use our digital signage to show room availability?
Yeah, that's we're looking into that. It's a great request.
How about 1 or 2 more, because we want to be respectful of break time. I'll go right here. John?
How you doing?
Great, how are you doing?
We talked a little bit about upcoming features that may be developed. Can we elaborate a little bit more on the roadmap, things that are kind of behind the curtain?
Great question. You should come to the product keynote tomorrow morning, and you will find out more.
Absolutely. All right, how about 1 more? I think I saw a hand in it. All right, you're the guy. You're the next guy I saw right there. All right.
Our email addresses are in the slide. If you have any emails or questions for me, I'm happy to respond.
Yeah.
I'm sure Cynthia.
Absolutely.
Hi, this is about digital signage and custom content. What kind of file formats does it take?
We support images and file and video. So images like PNG, JPEG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Very good. Wow. Outstanding questions, you guys. Holy cow. I love it. That's the interest in the big interest in the digital signage. So again, one more time for Dennis and Cynthia here. They did a great job.